everybody. Welcome back to the RFL podcast. And well, we're nearly towards the end of the season. We're in the back end now, and it means that we need to talk a little bit about the playoff picture and what that entails for each division and each conference. And of course, joined today with myself is Wobbegong. Wobbegong, welcome back to the podcast as always. Playoff picture, what do we think?
Yeah, thanks for having me again. So it's nice to only have 3 games left in the regular season and then jumping right into the playoffs. And that's why we wanted to take a short episode to talk about the divisions, because as of right now, with 3 games left to play, only one division is clinched by the New Orleans Saints. The rest is still open and lots of very, very close divisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess, should we just quickly talk about the one where the division is clinched, and we'll work our way around some of the other divisions and talk about some of the interesting things to come in the next couple of sims. So, as you mentioned, Wobbegong, I mean, the New Orleans Saints have clinched their division, but I have to say, massive props to the Atlanta Falcons for their performance this year. Definitely had an uptick in how they have looked. But yeah, I guess anything you want to say in terms of Saints? I mean, we kind of all expect them to be up the top and to be contending once again. But any reflections on that division before we jump over to some of the other more competitive ones?
Yeah, the Saints just look ready again to maybe win another championship. Really, really good performances. 2 losses on the year against the Bengals and against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers could be a rematch in the playoffs, so that's one game to watch out. But yeah, we expected them to win the division, and since the Atlanta Falcons lost their last 2 games and now have a record of 7-6, it's pretty clear that the Saints are already clinched the division. The Rams are on a 3-game winning streak, so ending the year strong. So maybe we get a more interesting division next year, but so far it looks like Saints again, division winner, that's clinched, and I don't expect the Falcons have an outside shot, but with 2 losses right now, I don't expect them to make the playoffs. Looking at the other NFC teams, especially 3 teams in the NFC East, we will talk about that in a second, with the 7-6 record. The Falcons are still in it, but with the 2 losses, it will be very, very hard for them to get another playoff spot here. But as you said, respect to them, especially this 5-1 home record. Falcons really look good this year.
Yeah, they have, and it's worth probably saying that the main thing that's probably let them down has been that road record in particular, and maybe some of those division losses that they could have turned around. Apart from that, conference-wise, they look pretty strong. So yeah, massive props to them. But let's move up the grid and sort of talk about the NFC Central. And I mean, we've got a bit of a head-to-head battle at the top of this one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a lot with a great season. They won against the Vikings and they lost against the Vikings. So their head-to-head record is tied. And right now they still hold 1 win against the Vikings. So they right now are the favorites to win the division. When we look at the schedule, they have to play the Lions, who are always a tough matchup, the Falcons, we just talked about them, and the Dolphins, who currently are in a really good position to make the playoffs as well. So 3 tough games with 2 teams still fighting for the playoffs. And when we look at the Vikings, their last 3 games is against the Chiefs, also the Lions and Green Bay. So just looking at the schedule, maybe slight edge for the Vikings. Is it enough to get the tiebreakers against the Buccaneers? So I said 1-1 or head-to-head, they don't have any advantage in the conference. The Buccaneers have the better record. Divisional could be tied pending on the last 2 games. So it could be that the Vikings need to get 2 wins more than the Buccaneers. Maybe 1 is enough. So what's your prediction here? Will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the division, or can the Vikings get another NFC Central championship with the remaining schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough. I think the fascinating thing is, I think the Detroit Lions are going to be the influencer as to whether the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Minnesota Vikings come out on top, really. If I had to call it now, I have to say I still think Tampa Bay are going to win it. I think their schedule is fairly similar to Minnesota. I think that Dolphins game is going to be the big decider, and not only just for Tampa Bay, but probably for the Dolphins as well when we talk about them a bit later. But for me, I'm going to stick with Tampa Bay. I think it's nice. It'd be nice to have a different division winner, and yeah, Tampa Bay have had such a fantastic season. I think they've done enough, hopefully, to clinch that spot. But it's going to be incredibly tight. I think last game of the season, business for the Central in particular.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that loss against the Rams was a little bit surprising for the Buccaneers, but so far they won all their division games except the game against the Vikings. So maybe in the rematch against the Lions, they won by 6 points in week 5. Maybe they can get another win, but as you said, this will be very important. But right now, I think the Buccaneers have a good shot on winning this division.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're not going to see a wild card come out of the Central this year. So Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago already looking properly into the next season. But if we head over to the other NFC division, that is obviously the East, and anyone who's watched our podcast or listened to our podcast over the past couple of seasons will know that the NFC East has been an absolute bloodbath, and it has continued to do that this year. I mean, let's not talk Wobbegong about what we thought the Giants would do this year, because they're 3-10 and completely out of it, unfortunately. But Dallas, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Washington, really all in with a shout of not only being a wild card prospect, but also clinching the division possibly.
Yeah, again, here they have 2 games ahead of all the other teams in the NFC East, and their schedule will be at Buffalo against the Giants and at Dallas. So they have to play the Cowboys, and in week 16, depending on how the other games go, that could be a very deciding factor for both teams. Because when we looked at the earlier schedule, the Redskins won against the Cowboys. So if they win another one against the Cowboys, independent of how the games against Buffalo and the Giants will be, I think they clinch the division. But still, Eagles and Cardinals are still in it. Also for the Cowboys, they play Chicago, then Cardinals and Washington. So in week 15, Cowboys against Cardinals could be the game to watch, basically, and the game that could decide who makes the wild card. The Eagles still have to play the Cardinals in week 14, so another matchup here where we talk about, okay, this will be very important. And Buffalo in week 15 and Falcons in week 16. So right now, the Cardinals behind the Redskins are in the best position to be their own, or they have everything in their own hands. They play the Eagles and the Cowboys. If they win both games, they have a real shot on making the wild card. And last week, Patriots. So NFC East is the most exciting division. Although we might already have the division winner right now, I think the Redskins will be able to clinch that just with another win. And other than that, I think it will be very, very interesting. So far, I think the Cardinals will get the second seed here in the NFC East, and then together with the Minnesota Vikings will be in the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, for us neutrals watching this division, it is the gift that keeps on giving, really, in terms of matchups and performances and neck battles. I mean, I kind of agree. I think Washington probably one more win. I think will probably do enough to kind of get them into that division title winner, which is a complete revelation from where they were just 2 or 3 seasons ago at the complete bottom of the standings. So, yeah, Washington Redskins have really, really turned a corner now. But as you said, Dallas, Philadelphia, St. Louis all got to pretty much play each other. I don't know. I mean, last time we had this discussion, I believe it was obviously last season when we were talking about neck and neck title sort of race here, and I had Dallas down. I just felt they had enough elite talent to kind of get themselves over the hump. I really don't know who is going to take this. I think St. Louis have been a bit erratic this season, which hasn't helped. I thought St. Louis would run away with this division a little bit. I'm probably going to stick with Philadelphia. I think they've just been gritty in terms of some of their results and performances, and I think that they're going to just get the job done. They're going to grind out a couple of wins, and that'll be enough to take the wild card slot here. But what's your thoughts? You said St. Louis, but are you sticking with them?
Yeah, but as you said, it's a coin toss. The Eagles just won against the Redskins, so that's a pretty big win for them. All three teams have realistic shots and pretty similar schedules. I mean, they're playing against each other, so no idea right now. I think it's the Cardinals, but maybe I'm a little bit biased because I just played against them and they played incredible. Yeah, maybe I'm just also rooting a little bit for them here. I already praised the Eagles in our last episode as one of the better defenses, and Cowboys proved to be a very good team in the past. So it's a coin toss right now. I think Cardinals will win their direct games against Philadelphia and the Cowboys, and then they could be in. So yeah, it's a coin toss, but Cardinals are my bet right now.
Okay. Let's turn our attention over to the AFC, and I think we probably need to start with the AFC East, given that is probably the one that is pretty much locked up now. I mean, your Buffalo Bills, I think, are probably one win away from clinching that division title, and then we've probably got Miami, Indianapolis, all New York, all still got outside shots at being the wild card team. I think the Dolphins probably are the best prospect, being 8-4, but. Your reflections on probably clinching another division title and how you've seen the East playing out for the remaining game.
Yeah, I think the Buffalo Bills have a really good shot. They are 2.5 games in the lead of Miami. So if Miami loses one of their remaining games against the Giants, Jets, and Buccaneers, or if the Buffalo Bills win one of their game against the Redskins, Eagles, and Colts, I think that's it. But yeah, as you can see, the Dolphins have a doable 3 games. Bills tough games, so it could be close. But right now, I think the Bills will win the division. But I also think that the Dolphins have a really good shot on making the playoffs here. When we look at their last games, they just lost against the Patriots, but before that, they won 6 out of the last 7, and one of them was a tie. So they've been really good. One also against the Buffalo Bills, and I think they have a really good shot on making the wild card here in the AFC. But yeah, as you said, outside shots still for Colts. But I think the Jets are out of the playoff picture, especially when we look at the AFC Central with also 2 other teams in the hunt. I think the Jets, in theory, could still have a chance, but I think they're out of the playoffs this year. So Miami best chances, and then Colts will have to maybe overtake Miami or hope that the Steelers and Bengals don't win too many games anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I think the Dolphins are going to take the wild card slot. I guess just to give some reflection on the Colts whilst we're here, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. I think we're out of the wild card running. But for anyone who's listening, I just want to give you a sense of how impactful a good quarterback is. So anyone who's been following the Colts will know that John Elway has been injured pretty much over a quarter of the season, probably slightly more than that actually now. So just to give you a reflection, we were averaging 31 points per game with Elway playing. Since Elway being injured and relying on, I think it's Brad Jones as my backup quarterback, 10 points per game. That is the drop-off that the Colts have suffered without having Elway. So anyone who's watching, the importance of an elite quarterback is quite important, regardless of what anyone says. So Anyway, I think the Bills are going to take the division. I think Miami are probably going to be a wild card team at this point. I think they've got some steam ahead now. They've had a fantastic second half to the season, as you pointed out. So. And it's really fantastic for the Dolphins because they had such a disastrous year last year with injuries and so on. So it's great to see them back up the top again. But yeah, let's jump ourselves over to the Central then. So really interesting competition here winding up for who's going to take this division. We've got Houston at the top at the moment with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. But again, like everyone else, some really interesting games to come ahead. I mean, obviously Houston have still got to play the Steelers in week 14. We've then got obviously Cincinnati, who have got to play the Oilers in week 15. So, there's some really, really interesting sort of matchups between those three teams where they do have to play each other, as they always do, towards the back end of the season. But again, it's going to come down to make or break with the last couple of games of the year here.
Yeah, Oilers, 3 divisional games in the last 3 games, and 2 of them will be the deciders for the division. So if they win against the Steelers in week 14, the Steelers can't win the division anymore. And if the Oilers also win against the Bengals in week 15, then we have the deciding factor right here. But again, if the Steelers and the Bengals win against the Oilers, well, the Bengals have a real shot on making or winning the AFC Central here. They're playing against the Browns and the Broncos outside of the Oilers, and right now I expect them to win both games. And the Steelers could also still make the wild card. They play the Oilers, San Francisco, and the Jets. So another 2 teams that they could win against. So right now, I think Houston Oilers, especially because of the 2 direct games, they're pretty good. And in the past, I mean, they lost against the Steelers, but they won against the Bengals. So will be very interesting. Right now, I think as it is, the Oilers will make or will win the AFC Central. Then I think the Bengals, just because they have 1 win more, will be in the wild card spot together with Miami. And that's my guess right now. So Miami Bengals in the wild card and Houston winning the division. They look pretty good over the year. They have 2 losses and 1 tie, but the loss against the Saints and against the Steelers, so 2 really good teams. They tied against the Dolphins, another wildcard team, and the rest they won, and they look pretty good in those games. So yeah, I think right now the Oilers are not only my favorite to win the AFC Central, but right now also my favorite to get to the Super Bowl on the AFC side.
Yeah, powerful prediction there in terms of getting to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to stick my neck out and say that yet. I think Houston will be very good this year. I do agree. I think Cincinnati will be the other wild card team, but I have to say Pittsburgh have got quite a nice run in as well. So it's going to be neck and neck between them and the Dolphins, but I still think the Dolphins will come out in that one. But yeah, I agree. Houston on top. Cincinnati are pretty much the first wild card out the door, and then probably the Dolphins. But it's going to be unfortunate for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have had a good season. They're probably going to end up like possibly 9, 10, and 5, and not making a wild card slot, which is incredible, really. But let's jump over to the final division, which is the AFC West. I mean, Oakland have pretty much tied this one up now, but there is an outside shot that Denver could make something happen. They don't have to play each other anymore, but there's only a couple of games back. Oakland's schedule is pretty light, I have to say. They are playing sort of teams down sort of with losing records, but we've seen crazier things happen in the RFL.
Yeah, but speaking of elite quarterbacks, Cliff Stout really made a difference for the Raiders. So after trading for him, he got injured, but the last 2 games he started and played really good. So the Raiders on a 3-game winning streak, also because of him. And I think they should lock it up. I think the Raiders are a really good team. Of course, the Broncos or the Chiefs could get close, especially since the Raiders will play the Chiefs in week 15. But I think the Chiefs will be a team that we will talk about in the offseason a lot. Steve Young, incredible performance so far this season, and they will be a very interesting team in the upcoming years. But this season, the new GM for the Raiders did a really good job on getting this team up and running after starting 0-3. So we should never forget that. They started 0-3, and since then, 8-2. The Raiders are on a really good streak. And yeah, we've seen crazier things, as you said, in the RFL. But right now, I would not bet anything against the Raiders.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Raiders will clinch this one. Denver, been close, but probably not quite there in terms of playoff team just yet, I think. But I'm going to end without predicting. We're not going to predict playoffs. We're not going to predict winners or anything like that. I mean, you've already thrown Houston into the pack, but I'm going to throw you out something else. So an interesting award season is coming up, I think, because we've obviously got Steve Young in Kansas, who has changed that team from being a bottom team to borderline competitive in the West now. But Steve Young or Boomer from Tampa Bay, who do you have for your Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, really good question. But I think for me, it's Steve Young. I mean, he has a completion percentage of 72%, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So that's really, really good, of course. And Boomer has also great passing stats. But the difference for me is the rushing game. So Steve Young, 750 yards, 7.3 average, and 7 touchdowns. That's really good. A lot of plays that went for big plays, and especially because of this threat in the run game, I think, or for me, I would vote for Steve Young. Boomer in the passing game looked really, really good. But yeah, that's the deciding factor for me.
Interesting. Going with the maybe the better numbers on paper versus the record and performance of the team. I mean, I think it's going to be close in that awards voting. I probably would still give it to Steve Young, but I think it's really close, just because of how well Tampa Bay has done this year. And if they clinch the division, I mean, it's going to be a dice roll again. But fantastic to see two young quarterbacks come and really give a great performance in their first year. But that brings us to the close of this RFL episode. Any final thoughts or reflections, or even rejections on what we've talked about so far, Wobbegong?
I was thinking about my bold prediction with the defenses and 5 defenses better than the best defense last year. So, but also that the best defense in the NFC will play the best defense in the AFC in the Super Bowl. Last episode, I think we had the Eagles against, was it the Colts or Steelers? I think it was Eagles Steelers or something like that. Right now, it would be Washington Redskins against Buffalo Bills. I don't think this is the most realistic Super Bowl matchup, but we're going to see if anything changes for the last 3 games. I still think that this was maybe the year of the defenses. So AFC West, best defense leads the division. AFC Central, not close. AFC East, best defense wins the division. Same for NFC East. And pretty close for NFC West, just by 1 point. And NFC Central, the Vikings are the better defense. But yeah, that just as a few concluding thoughts for me. I mean, I really like defenses, as you can tell by how I built my Buffalo Bills. And will be interesting to see what else we get in the playoffs. I won't make any other prediction today. We will talk about that next episode when we look at the wild card matchups or divisional round matchups. Let's see what our schedule will be. But hopefully we get a very, very interesting playoff picture with maybe some surprises, some new teams that would be really, really cool for the league. So I'm rooting for everyone who has not won a title yet. And let's see who will be the RFL winner in 1984.
Absolutely. And we'll be back to talk about the playoff picture when we get there. But as always, Wobbegong, it's great to have you on, and best of luck to all the teams fighting for those playoff spots and those wild card positions in the final games of the season.